Nearing the end of the Clone Wars, Yoda began to hear the voice of Qui-Gon Jinn in his mind. Informing the Council, they came to believe that he was perhaps being manipulated by the dark side, or that his exertions, coupled with his advanced age, may be compromising his mental faculties. But Yoda conferred with Anakin Skywalker, who had a similar experience in the past, and realized the voice may be real. He went into deep meditation and the voice returned, instructing him to go to Dagobah and tell no one of his journey. Under guard and supervision, Yoda recruited Anakin to help him escape and flew to Dagobah with R2-D2. Qui-Gon appeared to him as fireflies, explaining that he had learned how to transfer his consciousness at the point of death so he might live eternally within the Force. He then offered to train Yoda in the same way. Qui-Gon led him to a cave where Yoda had a vision of a Sith Lord slaughtering the Jedi. But in Yoda, there was hope for the future, and so Qui-Gon gave him the location of the midichlorian homeworld, instructing him to head there for the next part of his training. Upon arrival, he met a Force priestess who tested him, determining he was a worthy student, and so sent him to the Sith homeworld of Moraband, where he was confronted by various illusions, including one of Darth Bane, and various visions meant to challenge his will and faith in Jedi values. Palpatine and Dooku also became aware of his presence on the planet, and so used Count Dooku's Force bond with his former master to send an illusion where Yoda would have to let Anakin Skywalker die, so he might kill Sidious. But Yoda refused to give in to temptation, saving Anakin and allowing himself to die. Having passed all his tests and defeated the vision of Darth Sidious, Yoda was visited again by the Force priestess and told Qui-Gon Jinn would continue the rest of his training. By the time Yoda returned to Coruscant, he had reflected on all he had seen and learned, coming to the conclusion that engaging in the Clone Wars had been a terrible mistake. But at least he knew a final hope remained, and while the exact nature of that hope was unknown to him, he knew he still had an important role to play. With the death of Dooku and General Grievous, the Clone Wars came to an end, and after the failure of the Jedi to arrest Palpatine, with Anakin turning to the dark side and his betrayal of Mace Windu, Chancellor Palpatine issued Order 66, triggering the inhibitor chips in clone soldiers so they would turn against their Jedi generals. At the time, Yoda was leading an army of clone troopers on Kashyyyk, aiding the Wookiees in defending against a separatist invasion. Using his Force powers, Yoda survived the initial purge, escaping the planet with the help of Wookiee allies Tarful and Chewbacca. Yoda then met with Obi-Wan Kenobi, another survivor of Order 66, and they agreed they must confront the Sith Lords. Obi-Wan would go to Mustafar to battle his former apprentice Anakin Skywalker, now Darth Vader, while Yoda went to Coruscant to battle Darth Sidious. Though Obi-Wan defeated Anakin, he left him alive, though badly injured, burning in the fires of Mustafar. Yoda, meanwhile, was unable to defeat the Sith Lord, fighting Sidious to a draw, barely managing to escape alive with the help of Senator Bail Organa. Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Bail Organa then gathered on an asteroid to discuss the situation. They decided to split up the newly born children of Anakin and Padme, with Bail Organa taking the girl to Alderaan, where he would plan in secret, forming a resistance against the Empire. Obi-Wan would then take the boy to live with relatives on Tatooine, vowing to stay nearby and watch over the boy as he grew up. Yoda chose to go into exile, knowing from his experiences training under Qui-Gon Jinn that it would be on Dagobah that his final purpose would be fulfilled. Though no longer actively involved in galactic events, Yoda would continue to watch over the Jedi survivors of Order 66, communicating with them through the many Jedi temples scattered throughout the galaxy, giving them advice and encouragement. 4 years before the Battle of Yavin, Yoda first contacted Kanan Jarrus and Ezra Bridger when they entered the Jedi Temple of Lothal, and gave them guidance, helping Ezra find his Kyber crystal so he might craft his lightsaber. Then at last, as the Death Star was being assembled by the Galactic Empire and the Rebel Alliance struggled to make any significant gains, Luke Skywalker would emerge, using the Force to join a mission for the Rebels and destroy the mighty Death Star, killing Grand Moff Tarkin and greatly damaging the Empire. With the death of Obi-Wan, Luke was left without a master, and so was guided to the planet of Dagobah, where Yoda gave the boy his final training to become a Jedi Knight. Luke trained diligently, learning to confront his emotions and overcome his fears. Eventually though, and against Yoda's wishes, he left to rescue his friends from the Empire. But with his training incomplete, Luke was defeated by Darth Vader, losing a hand in the confrontation. After many more months of training alone on Tatooine, he was finally able to rescue Han Solo from Jabba the Hutt's palace, then returning to Dagobah to complete his training. Unfortunately, Yoda was now dying and only able to give Luke some final words of advice, telling him he must confront Vader again and revealing the identity of Luke's sister, Leia Organa. Yoda also confirmed that Vader was in fact Luke and Leia's father, before declaring Luke the last of the Jedi and letting his body die, so his spirit might go on to join Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn in the Force. With Yoda's training, Luke returned to the Alliance and aided in organizing a final attack against the Empire, targeting the second Death Star being built in orbit of the planet Endor. Luke defeated Vader and convinced his father to betray the Emperor, killing Sidious and bringing about an end to the Sith Order. Anakin Skywalker, having redeemed himself, went on to join Yoda and the others as spirits within the Force. Yoda's influence would be felt throughout the galaxy for many years to come, even into the era of the First Order, when during Rey's Force vision on Takodana, Yoda's voice can be heard, perhaps indicating he may yet have a role to play in the events to come. A special thanks to all those who have contributed to Civilization X. You make these videos possible, and I am eternally grateful for your support. If you would like to help Civilization X and want a say in the future content of this channel, click on the Patreon link in the description box below, and pledge any amount you'd like on a monthly basis. Or if you would prefer to make a single donation, you can use the PayPal link, also in the description below. And please be sure to like and subscribe, and click on the links to see more.